So let's talk about Xbox Series S and game optimization done right. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I think we really need to talk about Xbox Series S. Now, for years now, we've been hearing that Xbox Series S is not powerful enough for this generation and that it will hold some games back. We did hear that from regular folks, content creators, but also some developers. Not many, but some. But there's also developers that say that there's no problem with that console, that the only problem they may come across is just time they need to put to optimize for this console, right? And we all know that there's always some constraints, time constraints, budget constraints, and especially last 2.5 years, it's a period where a lot of developers, most developers had to deal with not only current gen consoles, but also PC and last generation consoles. So that's a lot of work, a lot of optimization, a lot of hours these developers had to put and still have to put to make their games to run all across these different platforms. So I get it. Like if I were a developer, I wouldn't be happy that I had to work harder to actually, deliver all these optimizations across all these platforms, I guess, right? It's just like a lot of work. But so like I said, there's always been some bad apples and some games not properly optimized for Xbox Series S. There were some games that would launch in poor state, but then fixed later. There was at least a couple of games that would launch with only 30 frames per second support for Xbox Series S and then patched later with 60 frames per second, like Cyberpunk. Valhalla, I think, launched like that. And a couple of others there was as well. But today I want to focus on games that actually do take a good advantage of Xbox Series S hardware, that were well optimized for this hardware. And there's actually a cool tweet from John Linneman of Digital Foundry that first off, Digital Foundry did post this tweet saying Diablo 4 is in pretty great shape across PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series machines. Here's Oli Mack with Digital Foundry tech review, including Diablo 3 comparisons along with a look at PlayStation 4 version. To which John Linneman responded saying the big takeaway on Diablo 4 is that this is a great example of Xbox Series S version of a game making excellent use of hardware. You basically get an experience on par with Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 at a lower resolution as it should be. So obviously this is not the only game like that, and that's great. And this is, you know what they say, the proof is in the pudding. And like, it reminds me of Baldur's Gate controversy, I guess, right? So Baldur's Gate has been so far confirmed only for PlayStation 5 and Xbox, and PC, because developers did say that they had some issues with optimization for Xbox Series S, and that it had something to do with co-op and stuff. I mean, as far as I know, Diablo is a co-op game as well. So I can't compare because I don't really know what the issue is with Baldur's Gate. I mean, there is a version of of Baldur's Gate for Xbox Series S and X, but they haven't really confirmed when it's coming yet. They haven't finished optimizing for the console. I don't really know how big of a development team works on that game, but clearly, if you've got resources, time, money, you can deliver a great game. So obviously we are looking at Diablo 4 over here, which literally is the same game in every single aspect except resolution. You get 60 frames per second, all graphics, features, everything is literally the same all across Xbox Series S, X, PlayStation 5, obviously PC probably can run this game at like high resolutions and stuff and high frame rate, but that's another story. And so that's great. Means that Blizzard actually put quite a lot of effort in optimizing for all these consoles, taking good advantage of Xbox Series S hardware too. So, all these optimizations and stuff like paid off, right? I can't really say that they are taking full advantage of the console because I don't really know that. I don't even know what kind of features they are using with this game. There's been some leaks suggesting that direct storage is in use on PC, so I would imagine that it's the same thing with Xbox Series S and X version, but that would not be actually a big surprise, I guess. You have to use storage, but the question is, there's different versions of direct storage 1, 1.1, and 1.2. 1 is very basic and just speeds up a couple of things. 1.1 is more capable and can offload some stuff from the CPU, but 1.2, for example, is taking advantage of the GPU for the texture decompression, for example. So we don't really know which version is in use. Also on consoles, we don't really know if they are using texture decompression, which should help with CPU and that kind of stuff. We don't really know if they are taking advantage of things like SFS, for example, right? Which do resolve issues with memory management, like for the most part, right? That's actually beneficial for both Xbox Series S and X, of course. But looks like they optimized this game enough for it to, look great, run great, and that's what it's all about. Another example would be, but that's actually a little bit different in a sense too, but Street Fighter 6, that game just came out and it's very well optimized all across different platforms, and obviously on Xbox Series S it's still 60, runs great, it looks very good too, lower resolution as you would expect, but they also cut out some of the graphics features. So for example, in some scenes you don't get the muscle deformation on Xbox Series S. Stuff that you probably wouldn't notice during the gameplay anyway, but they decided to do that, probably due to the memory management, probably, if I were to guess. But at the end of the day, this is another example of a very well optimized game for Xbox Series S, and there's more games like that. Me personally, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Xbox Series S because, it has its limits. Obviously, the games don't look that good on that console in comparison to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X versions or PC versions, right? But, I understand why Microsoft created this console, and, the only thing developers have to get used to it. And hopefully now, as we move away from last generation of consoles, as developers move away from supporting last generation consoles too. Yes, Diablo 4 is still cross-gen title, but Blizzard is a big enough company to provide all these necessary optimizations all across different platforms. But smaller developers, won't have that luxury, right? And yes, they, once they move away from from supporting last generation, then they will have more time to optimize for current gen consoles, and they will start using all these, maybe not necessarily all next gen features, but some of these features, depending on what they need. Like it's not like every single feature needs to be used for a particular game, right? Different games, different game engines, different needs, if you know what I mean, right? But it's good to see that big developers actually do support Xbox Series S in a right way. And if you an Xbox Series S owner, games like Diablo 4, Street Fighter 6 runs just great on that console. And I did notice that with a lot of games that launched in a poor state, a while ago, now they actually do run better on Xbox Series S. So, you know, consider that too. So it's a great little console. I get it. It's not for everyone, but games, it's more like for casual gamers like FIFA, all these multi-platform games run great. First-party game is going to be very well optimized for this game as well. I mean, not necessarily for this console too. I mean, I don't count in Redfall because Redfall was just a mess all across all platforms really. But like look at Forza, for example, Forza Motorsport, right? That's going to be 1080p, 60 frames per second game with ray tracing during races, right? And that has already been confirmed. So talking about some capabilities, right? I mean, not every card, even on PC, can do that, and Xbox Series S will be able to do that. Apparently, that has been confirmed by developers already. So, guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.